This is new technology, this hybrid technology. There is absolutely no loss in fuel economy efficiency over that time frame. And that's really big news. That's very, very positive. Another thing that's kind of positive is that the average is 40.7 miles to the gallon. That's not too shabby. I'm a very aggressive driver. I drive jackrabbit starts, and I pass anybody that's not doing 75 miles an hour. And so that's why what they advertise, what the EPA numbers are on this car, I really should be able to get, as an average, about probably 45 to 47. But I'm an aggressive driver, and I pay the penalty. I enjoy the power. It's got lots of power. The problem that I'm trying to illustrate here is this green band is, again, the 95% confidence band. That means that 95% of the data points, miles per gallon at the fill, are going to lie within that range. And that range is 14 miles per gallon over an average of 40, or 34%. Now, you explain to me how your customer is going to sort out a real 10% benefit with a 34% variability. And I'll tell you he isn't, or she isn't. And I'll show it to you in just a minute. Now, there's more to the fuel economy story than just the 34% variability. This green band, it's a little wavy, I apologize for that, but that is the statistical data fit for seasonality. And lo and behold, when you operate a gasoline vehicle, I'm from Denver, so this car's operated in Denver. It gets cold in Denver during the winter. And when you operate a gasoline or a diesel vehicle in the winter, the lube oil runs colder because it's going down the road with cold air blowing over it. And the lube oil has a viscosity, and that makes it harder for the pistons to go up and down. And that takes energy. So it's a minimum fuel economy every winter. It's the same minimum, but every winter it's a minimum. And in the summer, it's a maximum. The reason I say that is that if your customers absolutely insist on running a fuel economy test, have them start the test in February and have them finish the test in July, and they'll get 10%. The bad news is if they put the MPG cap in July and then do the comparison in February, they'll see absolutely nothing. The product is 100% effective, and they'll see absolutely nothing. And just so that you're aware of it, the red line is the average fuel economy recorded by the computer, and the black line is the actual average fuel economy. For that vehicle over 2.5, well, this is actually, a 6-month period. And the point is that it does give, the fuel scan does give a little bit more precision to the measurement, but it is not accurate. It's off by 10%. The reason for that is this is oxygenated fuel, and oxygenated fuel has a lower BTU content, so it actually does provide fewer miles per gallon. But more importantly, this is a Japanese car, and it was calibrated for Japanese gasoline. And Japanese gasoline has a different density. It's got a higher density, therefore it has more fuel efficiency, and this is a volumetric. It measures the volume of the fuel, not the weight of the fuel. And so it's an error. It's just simply wrong. I just want you to know that that fuel gauge is not gospel. It doesn't make it easier to measure fuel economy. It's easier to get a number, and you get an instantaneous number, which is instantaneously misleading. It means absolutely nothing. The only way to measure fuel economy is with a large fleet, doing routine business in a double-blind study, and we've done it twice. I just wanted to real quickly share this with you. This is exactly the same data that you just saw. What I've added here is the last 10 data points. I have simply added 10%. To the actual measured number, I added 10%. Okay? And so if somebody wants to test fuel economy, they compare the 10 fills before it to the 10 fills after, and what do they see? What do they see between these two green bands? Does anybody tell me? No. Nothing. They see nothing. It is an absolute rigorous 10% because I added it to the actual fuel economy that I actually got on the car. And you can't see it. Well, what kind of deal is that? You know what? If you pull the spark plugs on that car, they're red. Finally, to the end of the story, there's something called the 10-2-10. If you take 10 fills before they start using the MPG cap, you do 2 tanks with 2 tablets to 20 gallons dose, and then you go to 1 tablet to 20 gallons for 10 more tanks. Then that previous example that I showed you, if you do the statistical analysis, I'm an engineer, not a statistician, but I've learned enough statistics to do that, it actually shows statistically you can verify that 10% benefit that I showed on the previous slide. You can't see it, but it's there. And if you do this, if you take the 10 fills before, you order them from highest to lowest miles per gallon, throughout the 3 highest, the 3 lowest, and the average of the 4 in the middle. You do the same at the end of it, order high to low, throughout the 3 highest, 3 lowest, average of 4 in the middle, and that shows almost exactly the same number as this formal statistical analysis. Believe me, I don't want to teach you people what I sweated blood to try and learn on statistics. It's not worth it, because that's not what's going to sell the product. What's going to sell the product is the red spark plug. By the way, that 10 months, 10 fills, 2 fills, 10 fills with normal driving is going to be 6 months. And the red spark plug happens immediately after the second fill. It's the end of my story, and I'm sticking to it.